Another way of changing the position of an element is by setting the value of position to absolute. When the position property is set to an absolute, the element is taken out of the normal flow of the page. What does it mean? It means all the other elements on the page will ignore the absolute positioned element and act like it is not present on the page at all. The element whose position is set to absolute will move in relation to its positioned parent element. So let's see examples to understand what this actually means. So in here, in our HTML file and CSS, let's position this first paragraph, para 1, to absolute. And to do that, we need to have offset properties set. These offset properties, which we have seen in relative positioning, top, bottom, left, right, the same ones we also use in absolute positioning. And the second thing we need is that the position, the position of this paragraph 1's parent element should be set to relative. So the paragraph 1's parent element is this div, and the div should have a position of relative. So let's select the div dot container 1, and let's give a background color so that we can see where the div is. Color div of let's give a red color and set its position to relative. Okay, let's save it and see. Yeah, so inside this div is our paragraph. This entire thing is the container 1 div, and we have positioned it to relative. The offset values are not needed. So when I give this paragraph 1 the absolute position of absolute and use the offset property, let's use left, of 600 pixels, what will happen is this paragraph will check if its container, if its parent div is positioned to relative. The paragraph will check. If it is positioned to relative, then the paragraph 1 will position itself in relation to its parent div. So let's save it and see what it exactly means. So you can see this first paragraph has moved 60 pixels away from the left to the right. 600 pixels, right? We have said, yeah, 600 pixels away from the left, to the right, and it has moved from the parent container, the div. And you can see what happened to the rest of the paragraphs. So this absolute position element is taken out of the normal flow of the page. So the other elements will ignore this paragraph as if it is not present on the page, and these paragraphs will move up and take up the space of the paragraph which was before. So now let's see another example. So now let's position the this third paragraph to absolute, and for that first we need to position its parent, and the div has a class of container 3, 3. Let's give a background color of blue and a position of relative. Okay, now see where the this div is. So for paragraph 3, the entire thing is the div. It's the entire square, or sorry, this rectangle, and inside this div is our paragraph 3. Now let's position this paragraph 3 to absolute. Position absolute, and the offset properties we'll use is top and set it to 0, and right set it to also 0. So what will this do? Top 0 means the paragraph will move 0 pixels down, which means it will not move downwards. And right 0 means this paragraph will move 0 pixels from the right. So now let's see how it appears. Well, you can see this paragraph has positioned itself in relation to the parent div, and it has moved 0 pixels downwards, which means it didn't move down at all, and then 0 pixels from the right. There is no space in the right side, which means it's 0 pixels. So top 0, right 0, and this paragraph has positioned itself from the parent div. Okay, now let's see another example. What if the parent is not positioned? Then let's see what happens to the paragraph. So for the paragraph 2, we will not position its parent to relative. Then this paragraph will position itself in relation to the body element. So in the HTML file, you can see all these elements from h1 to all these divs are inside this body element. So this body element is the parent element for all these elements inside, which includes the paragraph 2, second paragraph. And if I don't set the position of the direct parent, which is the div, to relative, then the second paragraph will position itself in relation to this body element, which means it will move from the body element. So now let's see. I didn't position its parent div. So position absolute, and now let's use top 0 first. So top 0, which means it will move 0 pixels downwards from the body element. So body element is basically the entire body of the screen, this entire white area from starting from here and ends till here. The entire thing is the body. So top 0 means it will move 0 pixels from the body. Let's save it and see what happens. Yeah, let's save it. You can see our second paragraph has moved 0 pixels down, which means it didn't move down, and it is positioned in relation to the body. Body starts from here, so from the body it happened. And if I set left of 30 pixels, see what happened. So this paragraph has moved 30 pixels to the right from the body element. So it is using the body element to position itself to absolute. So 30 pixels from the left it moved. So these absolute position can get confusing sometimes, but through a lot of practice, you will understand the absolute position better.